welcome back to my channel. It's Corey-leigh If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm on the road to 100 subscribers. I know it's small for some, but I'm really excited for it and I really appreciate everybody's support. And today we're going to jump right into it. We're going to do tips and tricks on mortgages and any advice I could possibly give you. I bought my house at 22. I'm now 25, so I've had kind of 3 years of experience of what to expect and how to buy your first house. So let's jump right into it. Enjoy the video. Okay, so a little bit of background on me and how I bought my house. I moved out at 21. I moved in with my partner at the time, and I always knew that I wanted to buy my first house basically, and obviously we all have that goal in mind, but it's a lot harder than it actually seems. It's not just as easy to just go and buy a house nowadays as it was, you know, when my parents were younger, or even my grandparents for that matter. House prices were kind of all over the place at the time. So a little bit of background about me. I worked 2 jobs at the time. I was a teaching assistant and I did caring. So I worked bloody hard, but I worked 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 as a teaching assistant, and then I'd start work caring, like dom care in the community, from 5 o'clock till 11. I know, it's horrendous, and I did this for maybe 7 or 8 months. Might have been longer actually, I'm not too sure. It absolutely drained me. Along with that, I was also selling new skin, so I was also doing that kind of little business on the side. So I had 3 jobs really at the time. Absolutely draining, but the things you do for your mortgage, I'm not advising that in any way, shape or form. If you can work one job 9 to 5 and still be earning that money, then you do it. But I wanted to make sure I saved enough for my deposit and afforded the house that I kind of wanted to. So I'm just going to jump right into the video of the tips and the tricks that I could possibly give you. I have a little disclaimer that obviously I'm not a mortgage advisor, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a solicitor. I'm literally just telling you my experience, things I've learned, and how you can possibly save money, or just my tips and tricks in general to do with mortgages. The first thing I would say is to make sure you have your previous address history, and make sure, if you are obviously over the age of 18 in the UK, that you are on the electoral roll. So it's kind of easier to track your previous addresses. Obviously, if you've lived in the same home for the last 15 years, don't worry about it. But they probably, well, more than likely, or they asked me for the last 5 years of where I lived. And I lived in quite a few addresses at this time. I lived with my parents, and then obviously I moved out with my partner, and then I tried to move again, and whatever. So make sure you have this evidence. The second thing they will ask you for is bank statements. So you'll have to provide 3 months worth of bank statements. If you know you're going to want to get a mortgage in the next 6 months, I would say, personally, this is just my advice, do overtime. Obviously have your usual income anyway, but do overtime. But make sure it's completely boring and vanilla. In that 3 months, don't go and buy, I don't know, don't go and take finance out on a car or get 3 new phones, or, you know, that kind of thing. Stick to your usual income, outcome. Everything needs to look like it's steady, like it's all on one line, not that it's like up here spending, then down here, then you have no money left, and then do you know what I mean? Don't go order 400 things off PLT and Boohoo and Misguided. And obviously, like, more than welcome to do that if you're not trying to save for a mortgage, or you're not trying to improve your income. But obviously, like I said, it needs to look steady, like you're a steady, responsible adult, even if you're not. Number 3 kind of top tip I would probably give is deposit. So I created an ISA. I was with Lloyds. I'm still with Lloyds. That's who I took my mortgage out with. But you need to create some form of way of saving. There's no point in doing odd jobs here and there and having the cash under your mattress. You need to evidence it in your bank, or in somebody's bank at least, or open a joint account if you feel that's better and you're a solid relationship and this is the move you want to go into, open a joint account, save for a deposit and prove that you're bringing in enough money to save for that deposit, because they will ask for proof of this deposit, of course. Also, regarding ISAs, I know Martin Lewis obviously gives advice of which bank is best to create an ISA with. Certain banks, if you put money in, they'll give you a percentage, so they give you free money. This actually happened with me when I created an ISA at the time with Lloyds. The more money I put in, the more money at the end of the statement they would give. So it would only be like a 5 or a 10 a year, because I was only saving for like 5% of the deposit, but it's still free money that the bank is giving you and you haven't had to fork out for. My next tip would be check your credit score. If there's anything I can give anyone advice for, is make sure your credit score is decent. So make sure all payments, repayments are on time. So your phone bill, your car insurance, car finance if you've got it, anything basically. Even if it's to do with, I don't know, your Argos card. Say you've taken an Argos card out to buy a sofa, make sure these repayments are on time, otherwise they will not give you a mortgage. You could be earning £600,000 every month, but if your credit score is saying that you're spending 700, 800,000 and you're not repaying your phone bill and you're not repaying this, they're less likely to give you the mortgage, and you are kind of showing that you're not responsible, if that makes sense. Like I said about the bank statements adding up and being vanilla and all in one line, the credit score needs to be exactly the same. They will do a background credit check, like a basic one, when you first go into the mortgage advisor, and then obviously once you're taking the mortgage out, they will do an in-depth credit score check. So keep an eye on this. It's out of 700. I normally use a credit score or credit check, whatever it's called, the app on my phone, just to keep an eye on how it's going, what's been added, if anything has been added. If you don't know if something's been on there that you need to inquire about, definitely keep an eye on this. So what you need, so your utilities. So when you're working out how much you can afford, so obviously, like I said, they will work out, the mortgage advisor will work out your income and how much you are likely to be able to lend from the bank. It's basically, I've written it down because I googled this because I had no idea how you'd work this out. So it's your income, whether that's single or joint, liabilities times by 4.5 is your mortgage amount. So how much you're earning, how much your partner's earning, or if you're doing it on your own, any bills that come out, whatever, times that by 4.5 and it will create your mortgage amount. So obviously when I did mine, I think mine was entitled to, at the time, between 170 and 180,000. That was a joint mortgage at the time. Obviously I was working the 2 jobs and that on the side, and obviously he was working 1 job. So our joint together created, say, like 180. So we knew kind of what houses we could look at, and obviously before you go to an estate agent, you will need to prove that you are eligible for a mortgage in general. I think it's called, oh, that's really going to annoy me. They ask for something, it's like evidence, like proof of something, proof of mortgage, proof of, I can't remember. If you know, please comment down below. Like I said, I'm not a mortgage advisor, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just giving you my kind of ins and outs that I know. So you will need to prove this when you go to view houses. The majority of estate agents ask for this nowadays. It's so you're not wasting their time, and obviously if you're looking at a £210,000 house and you can only lend 180, you're kind of stretching yourself anyway, number one. And do you have that kind of deposit to put down? You're wasting the estate agent's time, you're wasting your time, etc, etc. So yeah, look at your affordability, look at your income and your utilities. So you need to think of things like gas, electric, water, TV license, council tax, home insurance. I'm trying to list off the top of my head what kind of things I pay now. Home insurance, internet, obviously like Sky, Virgin, if you want to like take these things out as well, that also needs to be considered. Your phone bill, your car insurance. Take this all away from what your income is, like what the mortgage lenders have said they will give you, and how much you want to spend on a house, including your deposit, and then work that out with your utilities as well. You kind of need this all balanced to make sure you can afford it. There's no point buying a £180,000 house if you know you're going to be living on bread and water for the next year and a half. Do you see what I'm saying? You need to consider, you know, food, clothes, because you are going to buy these things. Just general life. If you want to go out and go for a meal, you want to make sure you've got £20 in your bank, etc, etc. So proof of ID, they will ask for this. It's normally passport, driving license, birth certificate. You need to provide 2 sources of in-date ID. So identification, you need to make sure your passport is in date, your driving license if you've got it, or your provisional, your birth certificate, obviously. They normally ask as well for 2 utility bills, or they did with me at the time. So if you've got, say you're renting somewhere, you'll have them easy. You'll have your gas, electric, whatever that comes to the door. But with me, I think it was a bank statement, and obviously I wasn't renting anywhere at the time. I was living with my partner, so I had my bank statement, and I can't remember what else it was. Maybe a P60 or like a pay slip, something with your address on, something that proves your national insurance number. That's another thing you'll need. And make sure you've got these like to hand, because they will definitely ask for them. I'm sorry about the lighting and the lack of eyelashes as well. I just want to throw that in there. I know it's not important. We're talking about mortgages, but we're in a lockdown. I've got no eyelashes left, and it's the end of the world for me. The lighting keeps changing every 45 seconds. It's doing my actual head in. I've moved my ring lights like 30,000 times. I'm trying to use natural daylight as well from the window. But yeah, I know it's not important, but it's going to annoy me if I was watching someone else. So just throwing that out there. So things to consider as well. Do you want to save for a 5% deposit or a 10% deposit, or even more? So at the time I was obviously working like all the hours under the sun and whatever, but I could only afford the 5%. So it's absolutely fine. It just means that when it comes to putting the deposit down to get the mortgage, the more deposit you have, the less payments or repayments of your mortgage you will pay a month. So if you save for 10%, 20%, 30%, your mortgage will be brought down a lot more, and it's obvious that you can prove that you're paying these things monthly. One thing I will advise with as well is to stay home and save. If you can do it, then do it. Don't think, I need to get out of this house, I need to be an adult, I can't deal with living with my parents anymore, I can't deal with living whoever you're living with at the time. Use that opportunity to save. Don't rush into anything. Same with the mortgage. So if you are trying to get a mortgage, any mortgage advisor, sometimes they are, I don't want to talk badly of them, but some people will tell you different things. So shop around for a mortgage, shop around for a decent mortgage advisor. If you go and see, I don't know, Tom down the road in Lloyd's Bank, and he's saying you can only lend 140 and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to buy anything more, go to HSBC, go to NatWest, look online. I think there's compare the market. There's kind of that sort of thing, but for mortgages, look into that, put in your details, see what you can afford, and go from there. You also need to consider solicitors fees. So when you are purchasing your home, if you've put the deposit down, you're ready, the offer's been accepted, you need to remember that you need money for solicitors fees. They will deal with everything. Same with estate agents. Everything comes out of that. At the time when I took my mortgage out with Lloyd's Bank, they offered a scheme at the time to say that we will pay your estate agent solicitors fees. All you need to supply us with is the deposit, and I think it was a bit more extra, maybe £1,000 extra for something like their advisory kind of thing, and you had to take an account out with them, which meant that you save money on your mortgage, which obviously I was like, yeah, win-win, let's do this. I think personally, creating a mood board, or like looking at houses that you want, certain things you want to look at, you know, a driveway, a garage, a bigger garden, a smaller garden, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, a flat, a bungalow. You need to look at what you want and what you can afford. So obviously once you've got your evidence of mortgage lending, you can look around, you can shop around what area you want to live in. I also would say, if you're looking at living in the town, it's gonna cost more because you are closer to the city. I kind of branched out a little bit from the city, not too far, but I did branch out a little bit because I could get more for my money. So the house I bought, I have a 3-bedroomed house, and it's a little bit away from the city, but it's not too far. Obviously, if you drive anyway, it shouldn't really be a problem. But I just think this is the best advice. Don't just think, I need to live in the city. Unless you obviously work there and things like that, it's more convenient, and you don't drive, you need to catch a bus, Look at moving out from your area, because what you can afford just slightly out of the area and what you can afford in the area will be 2 different things. Like for my budget at the time, what I could afford in the town that I was living in was a 2-bedroom flat, but I've now got a 3-bedroom house with a nice garden, etc, etc. Do you see what I'm saying? You need to kind of branch out, look at other things, and what's important to you. Do you want that driveway, that nice garden if you've got dogs, or you want to get a dog, or do you want to live in a flat? Just because it's more convenient for you because you're in the town and you can walk to Primark. Do you see what I'm saying? You need to kind of consider all these things. So I hope this video was slightly helpful for some people. Obviously, if you have any questions, please either message me on Instagram and follow me up, or put them in the comments below. I'm always there to kind of give advice. Like I said, I'm not a mortgage advisor, I'm not a financial advisor. I can only give you the tips and tricks that I kind of learned. I hope this was helpful in some way for some people and you enjoyed the video. Hopefully be back next week with another one. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!